be putting the spotlight on the pharma pack with the US Biosecure Act, some approvals coming in there, at least the NDA there.
Yes, absolutely. Well, now it's going to shift to the Senate. So there is possibly going to be the last leg of approval when it comes to the US Biosecure Act, and we could possibly see it turn into law by the end of this year or maybe soon enough. But to discuss exactly what the opportunities are, we have Kunal Dhamesha, who's the Pharma and Healthcare Research Analyst at Macquarie, joining in to discuss this. Kunal, hi, welcome to the show. We understand the details of the Biosecure Act. Let's get to maybe the companies that benefit from it. We did speak to Sai Life Sciences. They did say that their RFPs have risen. But as a whole, who do you think is on the top of the pecking order in terms of the incremental benefits that we could see based on your conversations, based on the previous quarterly numbers?
Sure. So, the way I think about this is there are two main technologies in the CDMO sector. One is small molecule and another one is a large molecule, which we call it biologics manufacturing. Now, when we see the core competency of Indian CDMO, it primarily is on the small molecule side, right? And hence, what I believe is that the companies who are having strong small molecule CDMO manufacturing, also very strong connect with the large cap innovative pharma companies, they are going to benefit the most. And also capacity is the third variable here. Companies also need to have capacities but to kind of absorb that incremental demand. Now, in terms of the overall opportunity that can be available for this company, it could be very large. Currently, Indian CDMO market is only around $7 billion. Versus the Chinese CDMO market is around $25 billion. So if there is any shift away from this Chinese CDMO market, that could be a very big upside for the overall sector. So it's a rising tide, which will lift all the boats. But the boats which will be lifted more would be companies with capacities, strong relationship with the large cap pharma companies, and small molecule competency.
Mm-hmm. Kunal, could you just tell us when will one start seeing the synergies for these companies as well? And also, what is the major difference? And now, are there any incremental changes that have come in that will support further growth for these players, CDMO players?
So from the October version, which was passed by Senate to now, we have not seen any major changes. There is a slight changes in timeline, which for certain types of entities, which has been reduced from 180 days to 90 days, but very minor changes, I would say. The important aspect is the grandfathering of the existing projects, which was allowed for 5 years in the October version. That still remains at 5 years in the current version as well. So very minor changes. Incrementally, the upside will not be immediate. What you will see currently is the RFP momentum. Once those RFP translates into master services agreements, then the tech transfer from the innovator companies will start. Then these companies will do batch manufacturing. There'll be validation and stability data on those batches will be taken up, will be submitted to the regulatory agencies like US FDA and European Medicine Agency, which if required can also inspect these plants. So overall, let's say if innovator wants to shift manufacturing of one molecule from one supplier to another, it typically takes anywhere between 12 to 24 months, depending on the requirement on the regulatory inspection side. Okay. Right? So the upside are slightly back-ended, but RFPs is what you would see incremental momentum right now.
But still, there's 12 to 24 months, according to you, before we actually see any material impact on the PNL and balance sheet coming in, because it might not fructify into master service agreements immediately. Kunal, in that case, what is the biggest risk that you would see despite all the approvals coming in for these companies? Because a lot of these stocks are excited ahead of these approvals that have come by. And in terms of valuations, do you think they're pricing in a lot of the optimism already?
I definitely don't believe so, that they price in a lot. As I said, the opportunity is quite large. We are at 7 billion. And the opportunity that is opening up for Indian CDMO is at least 4 times that of where we are. So there is a large opportunity size. And in terms of valuation, as I said, right now you won't see the earnings upside in the next 1 year earnings. and hence the valuation seems high right now because we are valuing them on a next 1 year forward basis. But if I look at FY28, FY29, FY30 basis, the stocks could go up meaningfully from where they are, because of these tailwinds.
Okay, so Kunal, $7 billion, how much does it go to possibly in the next 3 years, according to you, in terms of an opportunity for Indian companies? Because like you said, it is contingent on which are the companies that can possibly even service and supply. So how much do you expect $7 billion to grow to, one? And two, which are the companies that would possibly be able to capitalize on this? The Piramal's or the Loris Labs of the world, Sai Life, Blue Jet Healthcare. Name a couple of companies for us.
So the 7 billion has grown at almost around 12 to 13% CAGR in the last 5 years. I believe over the next 5 years, this market would grow at more like high teens percentage point, around 17 to 18%. Of that, 12 to 13 is the base growth component, and the rest of the 4 to 5% incremental growth is going to come because of the Biosecure Act, because of the supply chains moving. So by the end of this decade, this 7 billion would be more than $20 billion market. So almost 3 times growth that I'm seeing, I am expecting for the CDMO industry. And in terms of the companies that are going to benefit within my coverage, my preferred pick is Divi's Laboratories, given that they have strong relationship with innovator. They have a lot of capacities. They have recently commissioned plant 3, and they have just utilized 200 acres out of 500 acres of land. So there is still 300 acres where they can develop manufacturing units. So there is a large capacity that they can add. And they are also putting up capacities for peptide manufacturing, which is one of the fastest growing sector within the CDMO sector itself. So I'm very positive on Divi's Laboratories. Followed by that, within my coverage, I'm positive on Syngene, primarily because of biotech funding recovery that is happening in US. Coupled that with the Biosecure Act, they are going to see incremental momentum from where they are in FY26. And the valuation for Syngene remains quite attractive compared to other CDMO companies within the sector. So I remain most positive on these 2 names within my coverage.
Okay. All right, Kunal, we're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and speaking with us and giving us all of that perspective on the US Biosecure Act. We need to take a short break, but up next, Sahil Kapoor of DSP Mutual Fund will connect with us on the Indian macro setup. Stay tuned.